Hi, greetings and welcome fellow citizens. This week on Let's Talk Ship we are going to be having a look at some of the starter ships in the Star Citizen universe, as well as a couple of the entry level ships. So without further ado, let's get into it. Yeah, as I said, I'm still kind of working on the intro sequence there, so hopefully that's coming along more or less to the area, the point that I kind of want. Now, as I said, we are going to be looking at starter ships as well as some entry level ships. So some starter ships are entry level ships, but not all entry level ships are starter ships. Something like that, yeah. Basically, just because something is a starter ship does not mean that it's an entry ship, and just because something is an entry level ship does not mean that it's a starter ship. So what exactly is a starter ship and what exactly is an entry level ship? Well, starter ships are basically the cheapest option they're out there to start a particular path that you want to do, or basically just starting into the SC-verse. Right now, at the moment, there's been, well, for quite some time, there's been two options when purchasing a package. You can either go for the Aurora MR or you can go for the Mustang Alpha. Now, there are other packages out there, and some of them are actually considered starter ships. Like I think the Prospector might be a starter package, but a Prospector is not what I consider a starter ship because it's a little bit of a level up from, let's say, the Aurora or the Mustang. Now, as I said, at the moment the main two ones in the verse are the Aurora and Mustang. You can argue, say, that the 100i is also a starter ship, as well as in the future there might be a couple of others that will be considered a starter ship, such as like the whole A series. I'm sure that I did actually read somewhere that the whole A is going to be a candidate for a starter ship in the future once that comes out. The basically being is that if you are a type of pilot that really wants to get into a whole cargo transportation, and that's the only thing you want to do, then we'll be getting the whole A. As I said, the Razor I think is another option to be considered for a starter ship, but considering racing has been pretty much on the starting line, there are racing options out there, but no one ever really considers the racing as a decent thing at the moment because it's not been fully implemented. Now I know there's going to get lots of people in the comments saying, oh yeah, but racing is implemented, you've got those race courses down on but yeah, I know there are race options and there are even missions in the game to actually do racing, but whenever I go out there no one ever seems to bother, no one ever seems to show up. It's always just like me sitting on the sideline with no one else around. Now that could be, say, down to the fact that I've just had poor luck with trying to get into a racing game, but I kind of do think that they haven't really flushed out the gameplay for racing yet. So that's something in the future that's really going to take off eventually, but not just right now. Which, as I said, leaves the other two, the Mustang and the Alpha. Okay, firstly let's talk about weapons, because we all like our good old-fashioned weapons. Now there are three types of weapons. One is ballistic, the other is lasers, and the other is disruptors. Now when I say there's three, I'm talking very simply. I'm putting this down into simple terms. Yes, I know there are about 100 different types of weapons out there on the stores, But let's try and keep it simple here, much like me. Okay, now first up, the ballistics. The ballistic weapons basically can bypass the shields to a certain extent and inflict physical damage on your hull. As I said, bypassing the shields. But the overall downside of this is that ballistic weapons, they're limited in ammo capacity. So if you decide that you want to basically kit out all your ships with just pure ballistic weapons, and then you run out of all the ammo that needs to fire them, you're basically screwed. So if you're flying around and you see that you started taking damage to your engines, but your shields are not damaged and not touched, they're still at full 100% or 25 in this case, it's more than likely that someone's attacking you with ballistic weapons and you need to retaliate fast. However, next up you have the lasers. Now the lasers basically do damage to both the shields and armor. I was going to say equally, but each weapon to their own type and distance type, because some weapons require the target to be inside a certain range, whilst other weapons require it to be outside a certain range, but that's down to each individual type. We're trying to be simple here. Laser based weapons basically will do damage to your shields and armor once the shields have gone down far enough. And the last one is disruptors, which doesn't do any damage to your hull but will do heavy damage to your shields. So some people like to have a couple of disruptors on their ships mixed in with a couple of lasers, and if they've got any spare ports floating around, just put the odd ballistic down in there as well to make sure it does actually do some damage. Now the turret sizes themselves, they come in size like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc, etc. But the base turrets, or let me phrase that, majority of the turrets, let's just say if you've got like a turret size 5, you can gimbal them down to size 4. Now why would you want to actually reduce the size of a turret by putting on the gimbal mount? Well, basically what gimbals do is they target your ship. Now if it's a fixed mount that you're using, they just fire straight forwards. Lately they've given a little bit of to and sway to try and see if they can help people, but majority they just shoot forward and I find miss most of the time. Whereas gimbaled mounts, if you have turned on gimbal targeting on your computer, which you will notice when you toggle on gimbal targeting by a round dotted circle around the edge, I think the key is G to toggle that on your keyboard. Some people may vary depending on their setup, but I think I got it as G on my setup. But once you get it to gimbal mounting, you'll get a dotted round circle, and basically anything that's inside that circle your gimbaled mounts can aim and shoot at by shooting at the lead dot. Because don't forget, in space everything's moving, and if you're shooting at something, it will be gone by the time the weapons actually get there. So there's a lead mount that the gimbals will actually shoot at. So therefore that's another thing that gimbals are good at. However, some more skilled pilots will prefer the fixed gun, saying that no, they don't shoot at where it's going, they like to get real close and just blatter them at point blank distance. But that's down to each individual's personal skills and preference. I like my gimbals, so. However, with going back onto like the starter ships, you only have size 1 and size 2s. Now size 1s, you can gimbal size 1 with size 1 gimbals. I'm not sure about size 2, but I'm sure if you gimbal size 2, they will go down to size 1. Now the Mustang Alpha, this is quite complicated to say. It has got a turret mount under the nose that has 2 size 2 guns on them. But it's not a full-blown proper turret. It's basically turreted not turret operated, but they still work and operate as a straightforward gun that you can that shoots. So it's got 2 wing mounted size 1 gimbals, and also 2 size 2 under a turret mount that's under the nose. But as I said, yeah, that's not a turret. You can't remote into it and like control it as you would do a turret. Whereas the Aurora, it will have just 4 size 1 gimbals. Yeah, the Aurora only starts with just a simple 2 fixed, I think, underneath nose, or I'm not sure if they're fixed or gimbal, but you can upgrade those. That's a good thing about these ships, is that they are they're really good at being upgraded. So therefore you can upgrade all the weapons, you can upgrade all the missiles, you can upgrade all the turrets and so on and so forth to get a pretty decent ship. And now I tell you what, I mean, with my Aurora, I pimped it out to the nines. I put top of the line, I put top of the line coolers in there, power plant units, all the best weapons on there. And it still sucks ass because it is a starter ship after all. but that didn't stop me from taking it out and fighting against ERT targets. Got my heart sanded to me, but yes, no. Seriously, I have actually taken an Aurora out against an ERT target and beat them. Not by shooting them, but getting them to fly into the asteroids, which I still consider as a win. I still consider that as a win, because as I said, if I can like fly around the asteroids, leading the enemy target after me and getting them to crash into the asteroids that I'm dodging around, that I think is that's a win for me. And I think that the devs should not change that, because yeah, if I crash into those asteroids while strafing around other targets and get myself blown up, then I think the AI should be able to do exactly the same for them chasing me. So yeah, with the Aurora and again with the Mustang, you can still quite easily beat ERT targets as long as there's an equivalent, that there's a good asteroid field, a convenient asteroid field nearby to lose them in or crash them in. That's better, as long as they're the one doing the crashing, not you. Okay, but yeah, as I said, I should have had like the details up there to show you if you really want all the wonderful details from DPS Calculator. Yeah, because DPS Calculator does, every time that people are in the verse, they ask me what goes well with this, what goes with that. They're always pushed off to the DPS Calculator, and the reason being, it's a damn good website. I'll put the link down in the description. So if you ever need to look up ships or how best to equip it, check this page out. You'll find that you will be on there quite often. Okay, right. Yeah, I was going to say that for those 2 starter ships. There are other starter ships that will be in the future. I'm sure that the 100i is a good candidate, or a very strong candidate to be a future starter ship, as well as I'm sure that I've heard the whole A series is also going to be a candidate for a starter ship in the future. And when I mean like future, I'm not talking like just now, because right now, as I said, it is just the main 2, and you can buy other game packages through the through the website by clicking on this link, clicking on that link, and the other, after you've gone through a more amazing thing, you'll find where you're looking for. But yeah, I'm sure that the 100i and also the whole A are candidates to be proper starter ships in the future. And as you can imagine, the whole A series is going to be for those of you out there who just purely want trading and nothing else, because it doesn't have anything to arm itself. Okay, well, it might have a couple of odd size 1 guns underneath the mount, underneath the hood, but there isn't anything really that this can use. This ship, the whole A, is designed just to get that cargo from there to over there, and it's got quite a fair amount of SCUs to actually accomplish that. I don't know what that is right now because I don't have my notes, but I will say right there how much SCUs it has for the actual cargo unit. But yeah, alongside that, as I said, the 100i, which is currently flyable in game, but is more or less considered an exploration luxury style for those that want to live the origin dream, such as like myself here, because it's not a choice, it's a lifestyle. I think that's how the motto goes. But yeah, if you want to like live in a little bit of luxury, and do a little bit of exploring of the universe while sitting out in comfort and style and plush leather interiors, that's the 100i from Origin for you. Yeah. Okay. Now, moving on to entry level ships. Now, I did say that we're going to talk about entry level ships as well as start ships. Now, entry level ships are basically ships that are an entry level to a profession, and some entry level ships are going to be starter ships. For example, the whole A is going to be an entry level ship for cargo carrying, for transportation, for transportation of cargo from point A to point B, as I said earlier. Now, there are other ships out there, such as, say, the Prospector, which is not considered a starter ship, considering it's about 4 million AUECs to purchase. And yeah, you don't start out with that. You have to earn your way up the career ladder before you can actually get this. But like the Prospector, that is when you want to start into mining, proper ship-based mining. Yes, I know that you've got the rock that you want to do little ship mining, but that's a different type of mining. And it's actually a little bit more profitable than the rock sometimes, than the Prospector sometimes. But hey ho, so I've been told. I've never been able to get the rock to work. Every time that I try using the rock, for one reason or another, it always ends in failure. And I have a total of 12 expeditions. Each time I've tried mining in the rock, one thing has always gone wrong, and I've never been able to fully do a proper rock expedition yet because of things. But yeah, the ship, the Prospector, is, as I would say, the entry level ship that will allow you to start doing proper mining. Where you can either do it solo mining, or you can actually mine with a group of people. You can have someone else in your ship with you, that basically whilst you're going out mining, they can drop off and plant mining stuff on side of. This is something up and coming. It's not in the game just yet, but there are mining consumables that you would plant onto rocks that will allow the rocks to actually become easier to mine. But like I said, those are not in the game just yet. I think they're coming out on 3.15 or maybe 3.16, I think it might have been. But yeah, no, they're not 3.15. I think it's like 3.16 or 3.17. But yeah, you can either group mine with a couple of rocks why do I keep saying rocks? Group mine with a couple of other people in prospectors of their own to help bring in like the bigger hold, and everyone cramming to say, yeah, that's mine, we get all that. Yeah, I'm sure that's going to be a good way of argument started. Solo in a Prospector. Don't invite other people, just do it on your own. You don't need anyone else. But yeah, you've other entry level ships would include the likes of the Vulture. Now, I originally did say that well, I probably didn't say it on here, but I originally thought that the Vulture was going to be a starter ship as well as an entry level ship. But considering its size, I mean, look at this. You can see like this little tiny person here. He is tiny in comparison to the size of the Vulture. So therefore I think the Vulture is going to be along the same level as the Prospector when it comes to the price range when it comes out. The Vulture is the entry level ship for salvaging. Yes, again, there are FPS variations of salvaging, but when you want to get a ship out there and really get your hands into it, the Vulture is going to be your go-to ship, your starter ship, your path on the way up to getting that Reclaimer. Start Vulture and Reclaimer here. As well as, here's another entry-level ship, the Vulcan. Yes, no, when I was told that this was an entry-level ship, I thought, man, that's a bigger ship for an entry-level ship. The Vulcan is an entry-level ship that does two roles. It's a refueler and it's a fixer-upper, a repair ship. You can use the Vulcan to go out and refuel other people's ships and also to repair them, refuel and repair. And I think it does rearming as well. I know there was a third thing that it does, refuel, repair, rearm. And you can use like a series of drones. It has 4 drones in its bay that it uses, 2 currently active whilst 2 spare backup. So therefore you can use this ship to go out, refuel, rearm people on the fringe of the world. And as you increase in your career, once you start realizing what you want to do, you can move up the career ladder and get a Starfarer if you want to do refueling, or you might want to get a Crucible if you want to do repairing. I believe those are the correct terms. But yeah, so those are the entry level ships. But I can't remember if there was any others. I'm sure there's going to be a few others. So, is there any particular ship that you want? All these ships that I've talked about, whether it's been either in here in the starter ship or the big ships, each ship that I've talked about, I have condensed into tiny, small bits of information. Every single ship on here, I can talk for probably about hours on and compare, or at least a good half-hour video. So if there's any particular ship that you want me to talk about, whether I've got it or I don't have it, or it's in game or it's not in game, future ships, your own concept ship, let me have a know in the comments down below, and we'll see what we can do. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this as much as I've done in creating this. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I am trying to get this channel up to 1,000 subscribers, and if I get this channel up to 1,000 subscribers before the end of this year, so if we get to 1,000 subs before the end of this year, I might do a ship giveaway. Yeah, look out for that. So let's try and see if we can get this channel to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. It's only 2 months away, only a few months away. I will do a ship giveaway for you. So come on. So thanks very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed watching this as much as I've done in creating this. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys out there.